Am I so sick of losing to this Packers? But, you know what? I'm not going to make this intro long. Let's just dive right into it.
So much pain! So much pain!
Well, what can we say? We lose to 12 again. The Bears lose to 12 again. First drive looked promising. First drive, we was able to drive the ball down the field. Justin Fields gets an early touchdown. After that, the offense completely sputters. Now, it doesn't help that we get first and 15, second and 15 type of penalties. That doesn't help at all. It doesn't help. And it also doesn't help when we get away from the running game. Now, I did give credit to Getsy last week. He stuck with the running game. But I think situations as well and us just not effectively getting to the running game hurt. It also hurt when you have a defense that was not playing very well against the run. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon were basically running all over the Bears. Running all over the Bears. Now, first I'm just going to touch on the Bears' offensive side of the ball. The first thing is we did not stick to the run at all. First thing is we did not stick to the run. David Montgomery was gashing up this Packers defense. The Bears held their own against Kenny Clark. And I thought if they were able to do that, they would give themselves a chance because Kenny Clark is a big interior presence in the middle. And the Bears just didn't do it. The Bears just didn't do it. And another thing is that I think Luke Getsy has to get a bit more creative in play calling. I personally like the scheme. I like the scheme. The scheme is not a bad scheme. It puts Justin Fields in better positions. It puts Justin Fields in positions to succeed. But I just think that they have to get a little bit more creative in using their speed, whether it's Mooney, whether it's Pringle, whether it's using Justin Fields' ability as well. They have to get a bit more creative offensively. I think that will come later in the season once everybody starts to get acclimated even more into the offense. I think that will come later, but it shows that the Bears offensively just have to get a bit more creative in play calling. And speaking of play calling, I'm not going to let this slide by anymore. That 4th and goal late in the game in the fourth quarter where we can potentially get ourselves back in the game with the score. It's 24-10, and it's still a little bit earlier in the fourth quarter. I don't, for the life of me, understand why would you go shotgun with a quarterback sneak in that moment when you have a bigger quarterback in Justin Fields that is 6'3", 6'4", at 225, when you have an offensive line that has been getting some push in the running game. Why would you go shotgun with the quarterback sneak? I don't get it. I just don't understand it. Why would you go shotgun in a quarterback sneak? Now, if you are going to the outside and if you're getting creative and using one of those read options, I get it. But to use shotgun when he's probably already 4 or 5 yards deep and you're 4th and literally inches from changing this ball game potentially, and you go shotgun and still quarterback sneak. Now, I'm not going to touch on the part where he maybe could have got in and it maybe could have not. It looked like he may have got in, but I understand the rule. It was not conclusive. You couldn't clearly see it get in. You can think he got in all he wanted to. It was not conclusive and clear evidence, so The refs did their thing in that particular moment. They made the right call. But the play call was not the best. It was not a very good play call. Now, Justin Fields did not play the greatest of games. He did not play the greatest of games. Even though the offensive line was not very good as far as protection goes. And the Justin Fields problem a little bit came up again. One of the problems that, and I think it was the main problem, might have been the biggest problem, he does have a tendency to hold the ball just a little bit too long. I said that about him coming out of Ohio State. I said that about him last year. It still proves a little bit now. He does have a tendency to hold on to the football a tad bit too long. Sometimes you just gotta get out of the pocket. I understand you trying to be a pocket passer. I understand you trying to push the ball down the field through the air. It's just at times when you don't have the greatest of offensive lines, especially in pass protection, you have to get out of that pocket. You have the speed to change the game. You have the athleticism to change the game. I get that they're trying to get the ball deep, but sometimes you just got to get outside of the pocket. You have to get out of the pocket. And one thing that kind of upset me a little bit about this Bears offense, it fell flat. If they weren't running the ball, it fell flat. Outside of Montgomery popping off some of those bigger runs, this Bears offense fell flat. It fell flat, and you could not fall flat in a game against Aaron Rodgers. And now that I'm going to flip over to our defense could not stop the run at all. It could not stop A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones at all. It seemed like every time Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon touched the ball, they were getting 4 to 5 yards a pop. And you're not going to win any game when the running game is getting 4 to 5 yards a pop against you. You're not going to win any football games when that's happening. Now, I did say in my preview video that I believe that the Aaron Rodgers and I believed in this Packers team will probably come out and run the football a bit more than what they did last week, and that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. They came out and they ran the football more. They pounded the rock. And this Bears defense, if it's anywhere it lacks, that's in running game. And we saw it. It was as clear as day. The Bears could not stop the run at all. Aaron Rodgers didn't have the greatest of games. Of course, it's Aaron Rodgers. He beats us every time. He beats us. He just does. He just does. But when you look at this game, Aaron Rodgers did not have one of those Aaron Rodgers type games. But the problem with this Bears team tonight in particular, I'm not going to say in general, you got to get off the field in third down. You have to get off the field in third down. Now, earlier in the game, the Bears did create a little bit of pressure, but they did not make the key stops, especially on third down. Those third down conversions kept the Packers drives going, and he eventually killed any momentum that we even could potentially have had. You have to get off the field on third down, and the Bears did not do that. And offensively, they did not really convert on third down. That's a problem as well. Third down conversions on both sides of the ball were another key in the Bears losing this ball game. The Bears couldn't convert on offense, and they could not get the Packers on the field on defense. And that basically hurt us, and that killed us. Outside of the BS shotgun call in the goal line that I think killed any momentum that we even could have potentially had left, not getting off the field on third down on defense and not converting third downs on offense did not help at all. It did not help this Bears team at all. And the one thing with this defense, they did get out to Aaron Rodgers a little bit earlier. They were getting some pressure. It's just the fact that this running game for the Packers was so successful. They did not need Aaron Rodgers to beat us up and down the field like he usually does. They did not need it because they were pounding the rock and getting 4 to 5 yards of carry with Dillon and with Aaron Jones. And also the Bears have to tackle better. They have to make sure tackles. That's one thing I said. They had to make sure tackles. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon were breaking tackles. Screen game worked for the Packers. They were pushing the ball a little bit down the field, even on the deep shot late. It was not a great game. Now, there were some building blocks that the running game, like it has been for the past couple of years, even under Nagy, even last year, the running game is a very successful running game. It's just that offensively, the Bears had to be more creative, and they were not. And I said in my preview video that Luke Getsy has to come up with a more sophisticated game plan in order to have consistent success against the Packers, and it just did not happen. Outside of a flea flicker earlier, it was not really a creative game plan. Now, the physical of the running game worked. It got away from it a little bit. And defensively, we could not stop a nosebleed in the running game. Could not stop a single nosebleed in the running game. Aaron Rodgers didn't have his typical way with us, but the Packers offensive line, I'll give them credit. They pushed around the Bears front. And the Bears could not stop the run. And that is what continued to have Packer drives be successful. They get to those third and shorts. They get in those easy to go situations. The Bears had at 1st and 25 or 1st and 20 for Christ's sake, and the Packers still found a way to convert. They still found a way to convert that into a first down. And you're not going to win games when you're doing that. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to be overly mad, even though I am, as a Bears fan, so freaking sick of losing to the Packers. I am so sick of losing to the Packers. Sick of it. I am tired of it. But I want to point out some things. This Bears team is still extremely inexperienced. They are an inexperienced football team. For the most part, you have Justin Fields in year 2. You have guys like Brisket. You have guys like Gordon that are still very young players. You have a lot of smaller options. You have Justin Jones, who's still a bit young. He's been in the league for a bit. Muhammad is still a bit young. You have guys like Nicholas Morrow, who has some injury history, so he hasn't had much playing history. You have a guy like Bill Dory, even though he has some startup experience, he's still young. Mooney is only in his year 3. Pringle was not used much. Equinemi and St. Brown outside of that catch, they did not target him much. And Cole Kmet, he has to be more of a factor, even though he has to catch the football too. That's one thing I did say about Cole Kmet. He has ability to drop the football. He did that tonight. Khalil Herbert, year 2. Even though he played solidly, this Bears team is still very young and it's still very inexperienced. I'm not going to be one of those people that is just not aware of that fact. This Bears team is still young and they're still growing, and it's still in a bit of a year that we are in rebuilding process. So let's not forget about that with this Chicago Bears team. They put up a fight for the most part in that first quarter. The third quarter, even though offensively we couldn't get that going, they were able to make a few stops and get the Packers off the field and not have them score any points. And for the most part in that second half, it's just offensively we had to convert. That turnover, that fumble that Aaron Rodgers had on that missed snap, you've got to convert that into 6. Especially if going up against Aaron Rodgers and going up against a run offense that you haven't been able to stop all game, you have to convert that into 6 points. You cannot settle for a field goal in that situation. You cannot. You have to get 6. You have to find a way to put the ball into the end zone. Now, I think, like I said, the continuity with Getsy, and I think a lot of that will come over time. But for the factor of tonight, you have to put the ball in the end zone. You have to, especially the way your run defense was playing. You had to put the ball in the end zone. You just had to. Now, some takeaways from this Bears team is, number 1, I love the fight. I love the fact that they fought the entire game. That's something you can take away from it. Good wins, bad losses, whatever. This team continues to fight. And that is something that we haven't had. They continue to put themselves in position to try to get themselves back in the ball game. We just could not capitalize on those opportunities, especially that fourth down call, which I don't really agree with at all. Especially when you're getting a fumble, you get a turnover, and you were only able to create 3 points, especially against Aaron Rodgers and the way this offense was looking, especially running the football. You got to find ways to create those possessions into touchdowns. You have to find ways. But this game, I'm not going to say it was unexpected, but especially with the Bears team still being young, especially with Aaron Rodgers and those boys, I knew they were not going to come out the same football team that they were in week 1 against Minnesota. I knew that was not going to happen. I knew they were going to find a way to commit more to the running game, especially with a lot of those younger receivers that doesn't have much rapport with Aaron Rodgers. And I think this was a game they could have took advantage of that a little bit. But the Packers, give credit where credit is due. They adjusted their game plan, and they ran the football more, and they ran the football up and down the Chicago Bears' throats. And we could not stop it. We could not stop it. But once again, the Bears lose to those damn Green Bay Packers again. Again. I am personally tired of it. But I can rabble on and on, but that's all I've got for you guys. Make sure you guys leave this video a like. Comment your thoughts down below on this ball game. What do you think? What are your takeaways? What did you see? I would love to hear what you guys think. And if you have gotten to this point, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you will not miss any of the videos. But I am APWSPORTS signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day out there, and I will catch you guys in another video. As always, I'm going to say bear down. Peace.